Hey viewers, welcome back to Andy's Garage. Hey, in the garage today I've got this Stihl MS 180 chainsaw. The guy reached out to me, saw a couple of my videos replacing some carburetors. I had a carburetor I replaced on a power auger of mine. I let it sit, several years, and when another neighbor of mine needed to use it, she wouldn't start because that carburetor was gummed up bad. So I had to replace the carburetor, and I made a video on it. And then I had a guy reach out to me here not too long ago about a weed eater, had issues with it, and I decided that it was time to replace the carburetor on it. So I made a video on both of those, and yeah, they both run top notch. The guy was using the weed eater I think it was last week, and he used it and didn't have a bit of problems with it. So another happy person. So that's all that matters to me. Anyway, I had a guy reach out to me about this chainsaw. So he said he was told that the carburetor needs to be replaced, and it was going to be pretty expensive. So he asked me to look at it. I looked at it and I said, yeah, I said I would recommend replacing the carburetor on it, and gave him a price a lot cheaper than what he was quoted by another shop. So he told me to go ahead and replace the carburetor, and I'm going to take you with. On this one, like I have in previous videos, using the Hyper brand carburetor. Let me turn this around. The stickers are opposite of each other. That's the number there. You can either order it directly from Hyper on their website, or you can get them through Amazon. Now the nice thing about it, there's pros and cons of both. With Amazon you get it faster, but a lot of times on the Hyper website they have a lot of deals where it's buy one get one half off or whatever, something of that nature. So depending on how quickly I need it, depends on where I order from. My neighbor next door, he's mowing, so if you hear a bunch of racket in the background, that's him riding around on the mower mowing. Alright, so anyway, let's get this sucker torn down. Yep. Of course, got to take this air cleaner cover off first. Now, a lot of people may not know that these scrunches aren't only just for, tightening your chain and taking the, the nuts off or whatever, but you can use it for, like I just did here, to remove the air cleaner housing. And on these, real quick, make sure this brake is forward so you can clear this housing. But anyway, and it's also used for removing spark plugs too. Anyway, back to this. Now I already opened up the fuel cap to relieve the pressure in the fuel tank, so that way I don't have fuel spitting everywhere. But I've replaced carburetors on these before, and this nut here, which is 8mm, and it's really good if you have a swivel socket, because that sucker is, it's so tight it's hard to get a socket in the hole and a ratchet on it unless you have one of these low profile ones, which this comes in handy a bunch. Anyway, I'll take this nut off here. And if you drop this nut, don't worry about it. It just drops into this housing like I just did. No big deal, because when you take this housing off, it'll fall right on out. It's no big deal, because that, like I said, that one is hard to get to. Terrible design, like a lot of other things. Now these engineers and stuff, they make more in a month than I do in a year, and I could come up with better designs. Let's slide this off. Like I said, that nut's laying in there, it'll just come out. See, right there, it'll come out. Don't worry about it if you drop it in there. Alright, now we'll go ahead and take this handle off. We'll remove this screw. It's a T15. Now this screw is up here was missing, so obviously on yours you'll probably have that screw. Anyway, take this handle off. Real simple. Now when you get this far, I would recommend to go ahead and take some pictures of the way everything is, especially these throttle and choke linkages. And over here where this handle assembly is, as this spring is, it's just gonna pop off out of place. It's just gonna happen. So instead of just trying to keep it all together, just let it fall apart. Make it easier on you. Just take a picture, and it's not that hard to reassemble. Like I said, this just basically slides on here, and that spring just goes around this part of the handle. It's not a huge deal. It's not a huge deal. Just take it apart, save yourself some aggravation. All right. Now you want to pop this, there you go, out just like that. And what I like to do then is I like to just wiggle this lever over to the side, because it goes into a hole right over here. Because you got to get this linkage off here. This one right here, it's got to come out, so it just slides out just like that. Okay, and there you go. And we'll go ahead and pull that fuel line off. There's a little bit of pressure in there. There's a little bit of fuel. That's all right. Spill a little fuel, you just clean it up. And you can tell this is really old fuel, because man, it smells terrible. Wow, man, this stuff smells terrible. Ooh. Alrighty. Pull this old carburetor off. There we go. Alright, there's the old carburetor. And, you know, it's a Zama. You know, Stihl. The authorized, you know, Stihl dealers, they're going to put factory parts back on, because that's what it calls for, and that's fine. I'm not knocking, you know, people that want to put, you know, factory parts back on, but there are a lot of good aftermarket parts out there, just not only in the automotive world, but even in the small engine world. There's a lot of good aftermarket stuff out there. You just got to be willing to be a guinea pig and buy this stuff and you know, experiment on your own. But anyway, get back to getting this thing back together. All right, for starters, we got to put this linkage on here, like so. Goes on just like that. I don't know if you can see it real well, but that's how it goes. These holes here are your holes for your studs here. Alright, move that out of the way. Now this, let's go ahead and get this fuel line attached while I got it cleared. Yeah, when you're working on these small engines and stuff, these little precision pliers, those are a great investment. Anyway, this one could be kind of tricky to get this linkage on here. Now this linkage has to go over this rod here, because this is what holds, when you lock the trigger in place, this is what holds your choke in place. Slide that in. Now before you snap this into place, right here, this little tab right here, little piece of metal right here, that is your kill for your ignition. So this wire here has to touch the top of this. Well, these, I can't, however you want to say it, this right here has to make contact with the top of this wire here in order to kill your ignition. So your best bet is to take a screwdriver, a pair of pliers, whatever, pull that tap up. Oh, pull that tap up. It's gonna make me have a stroke here. There we go. Up out of place. There you go. Alright. Because this is what happens when you flip the lever. It's off. See how that makes contact with that wire? That's what kills it. Alright. Now that all that linkage is on, now we're going to put this trigger back together. Like I said, not a big deal. I actually recommend you just let it all come apart. There you go. It just goes in back together like that. And then that just bends and it'll go into this lock lever. Anyway. Get that spring out. There you go. Trying to put it on backwards. Go figure. Anyway. On like that. Slides in there. And like I said, this end. Oh. Slides in. Just like that. And there you go. Goes together just like that. And put this other end of the handle back on. Grab your screw. I'm gonna find a screw for that. Yeah, that hole there. And I had a scrap for parts 180 years ago, and I don't remember where I put it. Alright, viewers, I'm back. I had to step away for just a quick moment. Anyway, back to where we were. And put the oh. There's one thing you gotta watch out for on these two is this kill wire. It doesn't get in your way. I don't know if you can see what I'm talking about. It gets into the way of the carburetor there. Just kind of shove it back off there a little bit. There you go. Slap the new gasket on there. go ahead and grab some carb cleaner. I'm going to go ahead and clean out this air cleaner housing. It's pretty nasty. Went ahead and sprayed it out with carb cleaner and then hit it with the compressed air to kind of dry it a little faster. Alright, slap that back on. Find my socket here. This nut back on. Oh, and this one here, like I said, some bozo thought this was a good idea. This one, like I said, sometimes it can be a bit of a beer to get started. Now, a shallow 8mm socket works good too if you just slide it in there and just kind of spin it just slightly, get it started. If that's all you have, if you don't have a swivel like I do. Alright. I don't know what the torque is. Just, you want to look it up, that's fine. It's a carburetor, not a submarine. I mean, seriously, there's no need to get all crazy on what's the proper torquage. Just make it snug. All you got to do. It's an 8mm nut, so obviously don't get too stupid. We're going to go ahead and change out the spark plug with this too, so while we're at it. Again, don't know what torquage is. It's a spark plug. Snug it. Like I said, you're not working on a submarine. It's a chainsaw. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and change out this fuel filter while we're at it. And some of these come right on out and some of them don't. Anyway, I guess we'll leave it in there. I think I can still get to it. Yeah. Come here, baby. Oh. Here. Alright. And a nice thing about these pipas is when you buy these kits, you know, they come complete. They do have a new fuel filter, they have a new oil filter, they come with a new fuel line, new oil line, they come with new gaskets, or gasket depending on your application. Comes with spark plug, I don't know if I said that just a minute ago, and it also comes with, and I just had it a second ago, comes, oh here it is, and they do come with new filter elements. So like I said, these come pretty complete. So I used several of these hypos before, and I've been pleased with them so far. Oh, one little note too: when you go to take this off or put this cover back on, have the choke lever all the way down. It helps this cover to slide on easier. So lock that in place. Then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and empty out this fuel tank, and I'm going to go ahead and put fresh gas in it and crank her up and see what happens. Hey viewers, all right, we're going to fire her up now. I'm going to start it up in the garage. I got both big roll-up doors open. So if you're going to do this inside, make sure it's ventilated. There you have it, viewers. Another piece of equipment that came in broken and is leaving repaired. So anyway, it's an easy job to do. It's very common, especially because a lot of people buy things like chainsaws and generators, things of that nature, things that they don't use all the time. I've had several things come in for tiny little things here and there. Earlier in the spring, and then just a couple weeks ago, because we had some severe weather early on in the spring. A few weeks ago we had some more severe weather roll through, and people get all this tree damage. Excuse me. So now they're just busting out their chainsaws that have been sitting in the garage or the shed for like the last 2-3 years, because they haven't had any use for them. But now that they've got tree limbs in their yard, they want to go out there and get them cut up. Well, when they go out there, and they realize that, hey, this thing's not starting, or it runs like a turd. And that's because it sits around, and that ethanol gasoline is not good for these small engines, and just letting them sitting around. But if you can afford it, and if it's available in your area, find a gas station that has the pure gasoline, the 100% gasoline. It's going to be quite a bit more expensive per gallon, but it's not going to have the ethanol in it, and it is a lot better for your small engine equipment. Anyway, I've got I think it's an MS290, and I don't know if I'm going to get to it this weekend or not. I'm kind of want to take it easy this weekend. Been busy here lately. So anyway, same thing, ordered a carburetor for it, because again, it was a chainsaw. It was bought, and it sat around for about 5 years in the garage. Guy goes to pull it out, runs like a turd. I take it apart, yeah, jets. I had to send rods through the little cleaners to clean them out. I got it running. It's running, not great. I told him, I said, let's just go ahead and replace the carburetor on it, and I said, pretty much guaranteed him it'd run like brand new. But anyway, I mentioned that because there's a little unique feature on those in the air cleaning housing that a lot of people don't know about. And when I make that video, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Anyway, that's going to end it for this video. I hope it was helpful for someone. If it was, like, subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.